Well, Ms. Donka, it is so nice to have you on the podcast today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
I would love to start off by hearing what captures your attention, whether it's reading or watching or listening to things. What interests you?
So I listen to a lot of podcasts from Satguru, and he is the founder of Isha Foundation. And he is a yogi, and because it really helps me in my personal growth when I listen to him, because he encourages a lot of self-awareness, especially I think in patience and emotional balance and continuous learning. And he gives us so much of real examples where you can connect or relate to the examples that he has been giving or he shares in the podcast. So I think that's really enables me to lead, with a greater patience. And I think as a teacher, that is so much important in my career and as a mother also. So I feel that's really helping me. And I truly enjoy at least once in a week, I do listen to his podcast.
Oh,
Mhm.
lovely. Yeah.
Although he keep encouraging us to do the meditations and all, which I'm not being able to do it, but hopefully someday, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be honest, I like to read more, but somehow I don't really get time to read. I mean, that could be just a reason. But I think more than reading, I like to listen more of the podcast. And I've been following the Sadhguru. Sadhguru, he is well known. He's an Indian who believes in this philosophy of what do you say? His podcast is more realistic. He gives a lot of real life examples. So it's not only about he is a religious guru, but he does not really talk only about particular religion. So I really like about that. I can when I'm listening to his podcast, I can really connect my life with him. And sometimes, really you are really feeling low or down, and when I hear his podcast, it allows me to, realize or reflect, oh, I'm not only the one who's facing this kind of a problem in life. So I really enjoy listening to his podcast.
Yeah. It's so affirming when you realize, oh, I'm not the only one who's struggling with this. It's
Right.
so nice to know there's a community of people. When you are feeling a bit down, what kind of makes you feel better? Are there things that you do in your life like spending time in nature or cooking or anything that brings you joy?
I like to journal it. I like to write it down. Sometimes that also I learned from one of the reels and the podcast, which really helps you to break down your problems. I
Yeah.
enjoy doing that. And sometimes I just want to be myself and I just listen to music that really allows me to, have a little bit of stress free. So when I write down, so when I really don't have a clarity, or sometimes I'm really confused and not kind of a discernment you have. So that is a time I just shut down. So that has been really helping me.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of music do you enjoy listening to?
I don't have any special preferences. I can listen to any music and I can groove. I mean, even if it does not have a perfect rhythm, I mean, I just listen to any kind of music. I don't have any specific favorites
Yeah,
music though.
yeah. I
Yeah.
love hearing new music. That's why I always ask because then I can go
Mm.
check out some music. Now, I know that you've shared with me that you are a math teacher at Taktse International School in
Mhm.
Sikkim. What
Yes.
grades do you teach?
So I've been teaching in middle school, most teaching in lower school as well. So
Yeah,
I'm looking after a lower middle school mathematics
yeah.
department. And I'm
Uh-huh.
truly enjoying because it's all women power, we all are women teachers. Usually in our places, if I'm not sure, it's male dominated, this mathematics or physics. So this year I have all my apprentices are female. So I'm really enjoying and, the classes that we are conducting. It's so fun to do it together because we girls are a little bit into perfections, how we want the class structures, classrooms, the expectations, the corrections. So even though it's a nitty gritty, so I've been working with a lot of male apprentices in my past experiences at Taxi. So this year I'm truly enjoying because I can really see myself being there inside the class and how we want. And sometimes even if we just do the briefing about the classes, so they will try to do exactly, not even if it's not 100%, but at least 70% they are there. So I'm truly enjoying to witness those classes, being there inside the classrooms and having a debriefing. Okay, this should have been done better, that would have been done better, or this was really good during the class. So I'm truly enjoying to be with them inside the classrooms as well as to guide them. So
Mm.
I really feel really that my experiences at Taxi that I'm able to transfer or transmit to my juniors. So that I'm something truly enjoying too.
Yeah. How many apprentices are you working with?
I have three of them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so
And all
fun.
of them are female. They're so
That's so
young, younger than me. They're so
yeah.
young, younger than me. But it's so fun, it's so fun to see encouraging each other, learning from them, and definitely they are half of my age, some of them, and it's like to see this how mathematics have upgraded over the years, the way I have learned and the way they have learned, and there is like now with the help of AI, there are so many ways to techniques, strategies to teach mathematics, and that's how we share. So I think having a common goal, I'm really enjoying to be because I can really see myself when I'm editing the lesson plans also. Okay, how about doing this? And quickly, they'll also say that, okay, so we tried this one, this worked, this did. So there is a to and fro, back and forth, we having giving a feedback to each other. And I think I'm really, really liking that.
So, what got you interested in teaching math? Where did that start for you?
My life has taken different turns. And then sometimes when I sit back, relax myself, and I try to reflect my own experiences. What are the experiences? So I don't know. I've gone to different directions, Miss Anna. It's like I had taken commerce and I've done masters in financial management, where mathematics was one of my main subject. And I had to move out of Sikkim. So I went to Bangalore. It's a
Uh-huh.
different states in India, and I tried different work, different professions. I tried in Bangalore, and I happened to work as a cabin crew for many years. So I worked as a cabin crew. And then after that, I never knew myself that I have this ability to teach
Mm.
because during when I was a kid also, I never helped my sibling. So I did not realize that I had this strength to teach someone. And then I was working in Bangalore and then I got married back home. I had to come back to my hometown, Sikkim. Till then again, I was not aware that I can really teach. And I wasn't, after giving a birth to my son, so I wasn't working for a long time, almost for 2 years, I was jobless. So I happened to see ad in one of the local newspaper here in Sikkim, advertisement from Taxi. There was an opening. So I just so instead of doing nothing, so let me just try and see. And that time I joined as a kindergarten teacher at
Mm.
Taxi, where I had a little bit of, I was just a new mother and then I enjoyed being with kids. I was just learning how these toddlers are talking. So I really enjoyed 1 year. And then slowly, as I started really, really liking my profession as a teacher, educators. And there was an opening in one of the years, I think second year of my taxi. So the teacher had left, math teacher had left. And there was a requirement, urgent requirement. So I just happened to replace myself there as from kindergarten teachers to math teacher. But till then, I did not realize that I can really enjoy teaching math because I just learned as a subject, but I had never taught anyone. So when I started teaching these fourth graders, my initial years at Taxi, so I really, really enjoyed and the way they had the questions. It's so different at Taxi, the way we allow our kids to ask a questions, clarifying 100 times, and that wasn't in my school days. That was
Yeah.
so different. And I truly engrossed myself because yeah, that's something through projects also we can learn math, through different strategies also. Then I started evolving myself. And yes, there were so many things that I had to learn, unlearn things. And then sometimes it's difficult to the concept how to solve it. I mean, you can do it yourself, but to teach in a very simple way to my fourth graders was very challenging. Then again, I used to go to Google and look for different strategies, how to help them with the different worksheets or projects or some kind of a small energizers as well. So that's how I started really, really growing as a math teacher at Taxi. And you started liking because part of you in the past, you already had loved that subject. That's why you graduated as one of your subject was mathematics, right? I just realized that okay, so this is something I was fond for that subject, and now why not now I can really relearn and then learn it with kids so that I can also revisit a lot of concepts, all
Yeah.
the change. So I think that's there where I got the passion. And then
Yeah.
I realized that, oh, this is a subject more than a kindergarten teacher, I think I'm enjoying to be a math teacher. So that realizations came, and then I requested by then, my headmistress. So I would like to continue as a math teacher next year, next academic year. So she gave me opportunity, and yeah. So slowly learning, unlearning, many things to still learn. Now with the
Yeah.
help of AI, so it's more fun to teach math.
Now I'm curious, how are you leveraging AI for teaching math?
I sometimes what I do, I try to first I look at my own lesson and then I create my own lesson plan according to my experience, according to my class students. I try to visualize, okay, this activity may work, may not work. If not, then what is my backup plans? I look at like
Mm,
that. And then I do what I do. I just give my lesson plan to ChatGPT so that, it can correct my lesson plan or tweak it a little bit more interesting,
mm.
and how AI gives us a lot of options or simpler versions, little advanced. So, and sometimes I try to also get an idea through AI for especially for homework. So
Uh,
what could be my basic levels? What could be my beginning level of homework, or what is my advanced? How can I support the advanced learners? So there is a lot of differentiation. So that allows me to give me the clarity or give me the clearer pictures, how I want to conduct the classrooms. Yeah.
that's so cool. So you use the word differentiation. You're able to
Yeah.
like more easily tier different levels
Yeah.
so all students can keep growing and learning at their level. That's really cool. I'm really curious about like the math that you were taught as a kid and the math that you're teaching now to kids. Like, what are some of the differences in the way that you approach teaching this subject that's different from your experience growing up?
My teaching, my school days, I think, I don't know, till, I think probably, if I'm not mistaken, till primary sections, I think I was good in math. Middle school, I didn't like that subject that much. And I think when I was in grade eight, I think there was the one South Indian teacher had come to my school who really, really encouraged us that we all can do math. And that's how I started liking my subject. But again, I didn't do well in grade nine because again there was a change in teachers, and every teacher have the different teaching, ways of teaching. So I think I
Yeah.
disliked that subject again. Again, somehow it's like so my if you look at my graph of liking my mathematics subject is like up and
Up
down
and down.
until
Depends what
yeah,
teacher you had. Yeah.
yeah,
Whether you
yeah.
liked it or not. Yeah.
Right. So it was, if I remember my school days, mathematics, the way I learned, it was like probably rote memorizations.
Hmm.
It's like not formulating any formulas. You are not analyzing why that works or why it doesn't work. It's like there was no real life examples. Whatever is just there in the textbook, you just had to do. So if there in exercise, let's say an example in the exercise, let's say 2.1, there are 10 questions, right?
Hmm.
And all those 10 questions may have just two similar questions out of that exercise. And teacher would just give me an example for one. And then rest
Yeah.
nine, we had to solve it. Rest nine, we had to solve it without any understanding, analyzing. There's no thinking involved. There is no clarity. I mean, we would not even get a chance to clarify our questions. I mean, that kind of a school I went to. so there was no spark in my subject. So as a teacher, when I'm teaching, so if the kids are a little disinterested in that particular topic, so I try myself, I give my 100% again. So go back and check my lessons. Okay, how can I make it more interesting so that kids does not lose the interest in particular chapter or unit. So the school that I've been to and the school that we are at Taxi, it allows me to do a lot of modifications, edit, a lot of, changes in my lesson plans. And I think that's what I like about teaching at Taxi because
Mm,
you have the ownership of your own learning and your own classrooms and your own subjects,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So definitely, I think getting back to your questions, my learning mathematics during my school days wasn't that great experience, I would say. I don't recall doing any kind of a projects. I do not recall any kind of, having really fun, energetic mathematics class. So just open your notebook, be on the desk, copy what teacher has written on the board, just copy,
Yeah.
copy, copy, copy. So there was no thinking time.
What do you notice about kids? You've mentioned a few times like activities and making it interesting. And then you've also talked about as a teacher being engaging with the students. I think you almost
Mhm.
like theater almost a little bit. I'm curious about what you see. Like, how does that help kids learn? What changes for students when they learn that way?
I think that's a very good question. So, with my experience, I would say more than activity. Activity is sometimes it's just the fillers during the lessons.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think the foremost important thing as a learner, as educators, as well as the learners inside the classroom, is you really have to like the subject. If you really don't like the subject, no matter how interesting you make those curriculum or your unit or chapter, I think it would be just disengage from the lesson and you will not be able to achieve your learning objective inside the classroom. So my primary goal, and that's when I've been talking to all my apprentices, is like, you really we have to be very excited about our subjects. So when you are excited, it reflects on our faces, in our actions, in our lessons, so that it's easy to deliver. At the same time, kids also get the same vibe.
Yeah.
So instead of just taking this as a so-called math teacher, so you have to like the subject. And that transformations I've seen in the kids. So that excitement before even we go to the class and teach, it's like, wow, oh, is it math? So sometimes I just go inside the classrooms to get their notebooks, sometimes just to collect their worksheets, even though that is not my block. So let's say they are literacy block or other subjects block going on. So and I happen to enter to that class. Oh, Miss Donka, is it a math class? Is it a math class? And that gives me the kick for me as an educator. Is, wow, they're so excited. Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Yeah.
I just joke around. Okay, instead of, I think Hindi teacher will kill me. Instead of a Hindi or social studies, should we do math? Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. So that when they're excited. I think that excitement completely reflects on me. And as an
Mm,
educators, I would say that's the biggest gift. That's the
yeah.
biggest gift. I think going to the nitty gritty, talking about the fractions, decimal percentages, ratio, proportions. I think these all are the content anybody can teach. Anybody. I mean, these days, I think because of the help of the ChatGPT, anybody can teach. But the
Yeah.
excitement as a human being, as an educators, how you bring into your subject, I think that is the quality that I'm really working with my apprentices.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little challenging, but I think that is my primary goal for kids liking our subject, getting
Yeah.
excited to do math.
Yeah.
And if they are making mistakes, I don't think that means they are doing it. That means they are learning it. That's why they are putting an effort. That's how there are errors, there are mistakes. And I have that very interesting activities that I've been doing it, and kids really enjoy is something called error analysis, and I
Yeah.
call them error detectives. So I do a lot of error in calculations. So as a learner, they have to find. Then I'll say, Ms. Donka doesn't know how to do these calculations. So if I'm doing 6 or 7 digit additions, so I make on purpose there is an error. And then
Mm.
I'll say that, oh, my detectives, please come and help me. So Miss Donka have made some kind of thing, but I don't know this is right. But as a detective, can you please help me? So let's see whether Miss Donka is right or there's some errors. So, and then they're so into and they're so to prove me that I'm wrong. You know that? how can teacher be wrong? Then I said,
Yeah.
I make mistakes, and then so let's find, and then they'll look for it, and then they'll find that, and that indirectly that's an achievement for me. So when they are able to detect the errors in my
That's
solutions,
yeah.
that's so fun. And you come, Miss Anne, I'm telling you, come to the classrooms and see that excitement to make me feel that, okay, Miss Donka makes the mistakes and she doesn't know to do the sums. It's so fun to see from that coming through
Yeah.
kids. And I truly
Yeah.
enjoy that. Truly enjoy that.
That sounds incredible. Um,
Mhm.
because I'm seeing how you're empowering your students to not be afraid to make mistakes. Like you were saying, when you show up with a love for this subject, that's going to reflect or pass on to the students. But also when you show your courage and excitement about not knowing everything and that it's okay to make mistakes and that's how we learn, you would be, I would imagine, impacting students not just for math, but for all their subjects. And I share a similar language with my when I'm working with students who are struggling in a subject area, and I use the language of let's approach this like a detective and let's try to
Mhm.
figure out what's working, what isn't working. And it takes the pressure off of having to perform correctly all the time,
Mhm.
which is
For sure.
not a great way to learn, actually, that path of only perfect counts, which, you know, is part of every type, education has that perfection problem a little bit. And that's not how we learn. We learn through making mistakes. I love that so much. I want to come be a student in your class. It sounds so fun. I'm curious about like if you had a perspective on teaching before you started teaching that's really changed, like the way that you used to see what is the role of a teacher, and then as you became a teacher, how did that vision of being a teacher change for you?
Because this is the only school that I have worked as an educator or as a teacher, I'm not sure if I would have been in the local government school or any
Okay.
other local school. I think I would not have been elected to be a teacher. I think so. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
that, even though I don't have an experience with other schools, but because at
That's it.
Taktse, I think I'm able to survive as an educator because as I mentioned earlier, we can take so much of ownership of our lessons or the
Yeah.
classrooms that we want to, the way we want to conduct. We have the freedom to choose the lessons that you want to prioritize
Yeah.
and return activity that the way you want to conduct. So that's how my perspective of being a teacher has not changed so far, and I'm enjoying
Yeah.
to be an
Yeah.
educator. But I'm not too sure, Miss Hannah, if I change to a different school, whether I'll have the same perspective or
Yeah.
how I'm enjoying as an
Yeah.
educator. Will that continue or not? I'm not sure.
It's
Do you?
interesting what you've described as what feels good as a teacher is reflected in how you're teaching the students as well with that choice and that empowerment to make
Mm,
their own decisions. And that's something it sounds like you enjoy too
right.
about teaching. So it's like, are you familiar with fractals? It's like
No.
fractals is a repeating pattern. It's
Mhm.
sort of a geometric concept, but it's also found in nature. Like if you look at the shape of a leaf and if you were just to keep going in and in, it would show the same patterns over and over again. I'm probably not
Mm,
explaining this well. I feel like I'm sure what fractals are, but it's like a repeating pattern. And it sounds like, yeah, you found this way of teaching that really works for you. And then that's being for the students, you're giving them those same opportunities. And I see that
mm,
the way you describe loving teachers reflected in the way your students enjoy engaging in learning too. I always thought when I was a kid that the teachers who were like really good at their subject area weren't always the best at teaching it. And you said this earlier, being good at something or knowing a subject area is not the same as knowing how to teach those things, right?
right.
I mean, it helps to know it and to be able to teach it, but almost more important is like how you teach something rather than being an expert on like everything to do with that subject area. I wanted to ask you because you brought up this era analysis and detective work, which sounds so fun. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering if in your early in your career as a teacher, if there were failures you encountered that you just learned a lot from as you did your own detective work to figure out why did this lesson not work or why did this not work? Um, is there anything that you feel like at the beginning was kind of a failure, but you learned a ton from that experience?
In that question I need a little bit thinking time
Okay,
because
I'll
there
come
are
back
so
to
many there are so many. Yeah, because when you reflect, there are so many patterns, right? There are so many, I would say that fractal, right? I
yeah,
mean, it's like up and down. I think sometimes it's just scaffolding. So I
yeah,
think that I'm taking time there. And
yeah.
definitely I would like to answer that later.
Okay, we'll come back to it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I can think back to like when I started in the classroom with like preschoolers, kindergartners as well with the
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
little
Okay.
kids. And I really had to learn very quickly that yes, there are we have to work on intellectual growth and cognitive skills, but
Mm.
particularly at those young ages, it was a lot more like emotional work than I thought or psychological work of work you like and I look back now because I've worked with all ages,
Mhm.
elementary, middle, high school, college, graduate school, and older adults as well. And I think in some ways working with elementary, middle is hardest because of how much psychological work goes into it. And that was really surprising to me was realizing like this isn't just in with like older kids, you can just sort of focus more on subject area. There's so much emotional social learning in the early years. I mean, it's true in later years too, but not to the same extent. And that was really surprising to me. And I had to learn very quickly that I had to learn a lot
Mm.
more about like child development and that kind of those
Mm.
pieces of it, which doesn't always get taught to teachers how to do.
No, so as you were sharing your own experience, I was just thinking that we talk about here at Taktse, we talk a lot about classroom management. A lot more classroom management has to be done this way. This is the way we set up an expectation. This is the way that the kids should behave. That we get ready with the supplies this way. So I learned that when I started teaching middle school, it wasn't the same expectations. You can set it up in all the same. So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is like what it works in grade four, it will not work in grade seven. So there has to
Yes.
be expectation. So I started. So definitely as a school, we follow all 6 weeks of schools. In first 6 weeks of schools, we follow. And then what I started doing differently in middle school, and as I started getting more experience and I started enjoying teaching them in middle school, is generating our own classroom rules and expectations, especially for math class. What do you want to do? Do you want to be sitting in a circle before we start the class or in rows? So when you give a lot of flexibility and you try to match their vibe in middle school, that itself is my classroom, one of the classroom management strategy.
Yes.
uh, you
Yeah.
know so instead of me writing on the chart paper or on the flip chart, okay, these are the expectations that we have to follow it. Okay, let's practice this again, let's practice this. More than that, when I started really including them as a team, when I kept
Yeah.
repeating myself, okay, we are a team, we are a team. Yes, of course, I'm a teacher, you guys are my students, but unless and I prepare my lessons and then you guys have to learn. But unless and until you do not support me in the classrooms, I will not be able to deliver my lessons, right? So in that
Mhm.
ways, Ms. Donka will not be able to achieve her goal. So that means we are not a team players, right?
Mhm.
Similar cases, like for some days, like you may not be in the same mood learning and you want to approach me saying that, okay, how about we do some kind of a 5 minutes energizers? So you should be able to tell me that inside my classrooms. Then I
Mhm.
should be able to say that, okay, why not? Let's do an exercises. So being like more than there as a teacher, and you are like authoritative person in front
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
School, I think, really helped me and worked is like, being a facilitator as well as just being there, because they they go through so many things. And sometimes, sorry to say, but the parents are also not very giving their listening ears, and they are struggling with their own emotions. And most of the time I was just there, so I used to say that, okay, so if there is something that somebody wants to speak to me after the class during recess, I'm available, or we can go out for a walk after lunch recess. Building up a connections, you know individual connections at different levels inside the classrooms also really helped me. And I think that's the biggest learning, that's the biggest strength that I have learned as a teachers in terms of classroom management,
Yeah.
rather than just giving them this is the rules or expectations, just
Yeah.
including them in your team. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can be considerate what they are proposing.
Mhm.
You cannot have a ball each time on your side, right? So you have to
Mhm.
let it be on their side as well, so that they'll feel that, okay, so I can tell her this. So at least that kind of a room that we have to create as an educator, as I would say, especially when we are working
Yeah.
in middle
Yeah. Yeah, that open communication,
open
and
communications. Yeah.
you're obviously actively listening and responding to the needs. That's a
Mhm.
lot of that behavioral psychology piece that I think is so crucial. I
Mhm.
love the classroom rules that you co-create with students, because that's another really
Mhm. Yeah.
empowering part. If somebody tells you this is the rule, some people just want to break rules. But if you were part of making the rules, you're probably more likely to want to follow them because nobody made you do that. You feel like, oh no, I agree to that too. I had a hand in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes if they forget to follow it, you can just give them a gentle reminder. Hello, this is our expectations that we co-created. So let's follow it. So I think
Yeah.
that becomes more easy. That becomes really, really easier than instructing them to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it changes,
Yeah.
I think, the dynamic of like you're the boss of a business, right? Because, that there's a lot of outside concepts that I feel like that infiltrated education, like schools are a business or schools are daycare or school, and these are not true. That's
Mm.
not what learning is. And so it's so cool to hear you really break out of that kind of model, which doesn't work with children's brains. It doesn't work with, as you said, like every day is different. They're going through so much so quickly, and treating them like objects in a machine, right? Like a factory of
Mm.
everybody's successes, everybody looks the same. I always thought that didn't make any sense at all
Mm.
for a school.
And the fun
Yeah.
part, sorry, I just wanted to share.
No,
It's the fun
please.
part
Yeah.
of our classrooms, especially when I'm teaching inside the classroom. So I'll say that, okay, why just have to have a boring math class that Miss Donka is on the board and then you guys copy and then you guys clarify. So how about, so we do some kind of a mini lessons and then we listen to the music. And it was so funny that one of my colleague in the past years, she came and scolded. I mean, she's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
She, after the class, she happened to get inside my class and then the music was on, the lollipop were inside their mouth and they all were doing math inside the classroom. And she was so surprised because that is so, so unusual for her. And she felt that the kids were really not working. I mean, it wasn't a very productive class. That's what she assumed. And then I said, well, if you've given me a choice to work for almost 2 hours or for an hour and you allow me to listen to music and munch a little bit of snacking sidewise, I think my brain
Yeah.
will function. And that's what I feel, and I asked to my kids, and they were very proudly says, "Yes, yes, I think we can do it." And then I had allotted specific time. It's not that they can take throughout 40 minutes to complete that particular assigned task. That worked so well. with me, listening to the music, lollipop inside their mouth, and they all were doing that. For me, it was such an engaging and it was so productive and fun that I was so proud of myself that, wow, that worked. I'm talking about grade six. And
Yeah.
that my friend, she said that what kind of a class it was. You're listening to the music inside the class, and that music also surprisingly, and that because I listen to all kinds of music, so I don't have any favorite music, and then that music also, the kids are so they are so up to date with their music, right? Where we I'm like my levels are so I'm like in old school, right? And they have
Uh-huh.
the trendy songs. They are like they all know that song and I don't. And then I just ask them, okay, what is the trending song? So, what do you want me to play? So I would ask them and then we'll play. And then the favorite music is on and then we used to do. And then I told my friend, no, that really works. Why don't you try out sometime? And then she said, no, 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 I can't try that. I think that's a lot of distractions. There are two very evident distractions. One is like they're eating, and secondly, they're listening to music. So they're not really I had a big argument on that. Then it made me feel a little worried. I was worried. Was that my class really that bad that I'm trying to pretend, oh, wow, that was awesome class? And I went
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
reflected that my lesson. And next day, I checked on their work. They all have done it. As an as a teacher inside the classroom, as long as you're meeting your objective, as long as your kids are enjoying it, you are allotting some time and they're doing completing their task on time. What else do you want? I don't know. So for
Right.
me, I
Yeah.
my approach is so different than my friend. And then I said, if you love it, just apply it in your class and get experience and then see whether it will work. It may not work. I think kids enjoy that. Some kind
I
of a flexibility. It breaks the monotony inside the
yes.
classroom. Literacy teachers coming, that's the same thing on the board. As a kid, what they all have the same setup, right? So at our school,
Yeah.
during mini lesson, they all have to sit in rows. For seat
Mm.
work, they have to go to their tables. And in case if there is, we have a class meeting, the structure is like they have to sit in a circle on the carpet. So math teacher is doing the same, teacher doing the same, social studies, geography, physics, chemistry, all the teachers are doing the same thing. So, but for for me as a math teacher, it's just one block or two blocks for me. But for kids, almost like seven blocks, same thing. How do you, as an educator, how do you break that monotony for them so that
Yeah.
you bring that energy or the vibe inside the classrooms that they had the learning mode open? Natively, they are not loaded.
That's right.
So
That's right.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
do that sometimes. I do that. And I enjoy doing that.
Did your friend ever did your friend ever take your model and try it in her classroom yet?
Now she has a really fixed mindset. She really like to go that way. So kids in the rows during the mini lessons and they go to the table and they do the seat work. Just because it works with me doesn't mean that it works for others, right? So
Right,
as an
right.
educator, we all of us are so different,
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
different teaching approach, and beautifully, the kids have a different approach towards the teacher.
Yeah.
They do not behave or approach the same way to all the
Yes.
subjects, even though we are in the same classrooms. I find it very strange. At the same time, it's so beautiful. So that's
Yeah.
why I think getting back to the classroom management, I think for me, the priority is how I build up my connections with the students.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the learning
Um,
concepts, everything falls into, I think,
mhm.
falls into the directions.
Yeah. 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 Did I share with you my what I ended up specializing in? Because I took a kind of different journey in education, but I ended up specializing in executive function skills. I've been translating some of what you're saying into executive function language. And
Mhm.
what I'm noticing in what you're describing is how much scaffolding you're putting in to support executive functioning. There's a lot of ways to think about like, well, how do kids learn? And there's lots of really long and complicated and true answers to that. But there's also a really short answer to it. It's sort of two brain skills. One is your ability to focus your attention, That's an
Mm-hmm.
executive function skill. And to focus your attention, it also means you need to be able to block out distractions. It means to not pay attention to other things and focus on the lesson. And the second is memory. So retaining what you've learned. And so you could argue that education sort of revolves around your ability to help students focus their attention where they need to go, and then to remember that information by repeating it, processing it, all the different sort of
Yeah.
strategies. But so much when you talk about like engaging students, to me, I've been translating that to she's getting their attention in the right
Mm.
place. It's
Yes.
like, hey, look over, this is where you need to put your focus. And it just seems like the way that you've described teaching, like you're really supporting executive functioning, which is how we learn. And when you described the music and the lollipop, some people could interpret that as distractions. There might be one or two students that get kind of overstimulated with that, but a lot with a lot, this is the stuff that I love because it's fascinating to me. When you listen to music or you have a snack, it will oftentimes send a signal to your brain of you're safe. And so when the brain feels like it's in a safe place, it can relax a little bit and actually help be able to focus. Because when you're stressed out, you actually are not very good at focusing because you're just trying to like survive the stress.
Yeah.
So there's just like so many layers that you've shared with me that's like, oh, she's supporting memory. She's supporting attention. She's supporting the sensory system. She's supporting emotional safety and like all of these things that help us to learn. It's delightful to see all of that. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, you could ask chat sometime of which executive function skills am I supporting in this lesson because
Oh, that's
I suspect you're supporting many, many, many executive function skills, and those are the skills we use to learn. So anyway, just really cool. Um, what do you love most about teaching? What brings you joy in the work?
like the kids inside the classroom are the joy that I every day look forward to go to school. Sometimes, when I'm just before going to the bed, also sometimes I try to, as I told you, that sometimes when my brain is really not functioning well or I'm low in energy, and then I try to write the positive stuff. And so sometimes I write the positive and the deltas, right? What did not really go well sometimes, and when especially I do not do this every day, but
Yeah.
sometimes when I'm feeling really, really low. And most of the patterns that I notice is like, it's all about my kids. So the funny things that's said in the classroom are, even if it's the funny thing, there's a small kid in our classroom she's in grade 4, very slow in writing, and give her 100 reminders, she won't do it.
Mm.
So, I get the context of that small kid. She's so cute. She's so cute. You can't even scold her. But no matter how many times you give her a reminder, her pace of working is like very, very slow. She has no hurry to complete her task. She's not worried whether my apprentices is counting, not counting, whether all her classmates have gone to the different math stations. No, it doesn't really matter to her. And most of the time, she loves to lie down on the bed, lie down on the carpet like that, completely on the floor. And definitely scolding will not help. What did I say? I said, wow, look at there's a name. Then so look at so and so, the name of the kid. Look at her. The Mother Earth is giving her a powerful energy so that now she'll stand up at my count of 5 and she's getting that pace of writing at my count of 5, and everyone should witness in the classroom. That's what I said. You should have fainted inside the classroom. My, my apprentices were shocked. How come during math class that Mother Earth is appearing? And that kid, trust to me, I swear, like that she stood up, and then the pace,
Wow.
even though her writing wasn't that good,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but that allowed me like, wow, look at that. Even if it's a different language and the way that I said it in a very dramatic way. It really gave her a courage. Of course, she
Yeah.
did not complete everything what she's supposed to, but at
Yeah.
least she completed 60% of what otherwise she would not complete that as well.
Yeah.
And after that class, I had a debriefing with my apprentices. We were
Yeah.
laughing out loud. And this apprentice is mine making fun of me, and she's going around and sharing with other apprentices. And then she was like, then I was like, what I have to do with that small kid? Neither you can scold her, nor it's like positive reinforcement is not working, right? Positive, 100 times you gave a positive reinforcement, that did not work. You scolded her, that did not work. You gave her, you allotted a specific time, that did not work. She's really not worried about who is going where. She was really not, competing herself with the other classmates. So what else do you say? So what is my primary goal? I want her to copy what you have written on the board. So when I'm saying that mother author talking when we were having the debriefing and then we were just sharing our experiences. I don't know. I just love that moment. I mean, I wish I could capture that. I wish I could. Of course, that will not work in my grade seven. My grade seven will give it back to me. But
Right.
that worked so magically inside my classroom in grade four. And I don't know, somehow after that day, we have built a very special connection. She wants to sit with me next to me. She wants me to help her. And she clearly says that, no, Miss Donk, I don't want you to help me how to write, blah, blah, but you just help me. So you dictate what I have to write. I will write, but you don't, one condition is don't tell me correct my spelling, okay? Because I want to write fast, fast. So I said, okay, fine. So because my goal is not to I'm not looking for her perfections. I'm not looking for her whether she's doing it correctly or not. My work is like my goal is the pace of writing that she has. So and
Yeah.
she is slowly progressing. She's slowly progressing inside the class and that moment as an educator. So this tiny, tiny stuff inside the classroom which happens,
Yeah.
that joy that brings in me as an educator, I love it. I
Yeah.
just it's so special. I wish I could capture that in my memory forever.
We captured it here and
Um,
we're going to post the podcast so you'll have it forever. I mean, I don't think you're in danger of forgetting that moment either because finding even that you've tried all these different methods, but then you find something and it just sort of clicks. That's so
Mhm.
powerful. It's like magic or
Mhm.
alchemy or something.
I'm very grateful to school for giving me an opportunity traveling to all the way to US. Not only because we get an opportunity to travel to US for our professional development, but even the small workshops which happens in and around India. A simple professional development I can think about is at school, our own school. So a lot of resources people will come and it changes the whole perspectives and it broadens your perspectives and how you want to learn more and more. So, you become a lifelong learner. It's not only about because you go and attend fewer workshop or professional development. Actually, it really, really helps you, how in a small world, how we all are so closely connected. Might be way of doing things are different, but it really broadens the perspective when if I have to talk about the educations as well. So Taxi is one platform who has given me that immense support to grow myself as an individual, as a educator. So that's I feel very, very grateful. And one of the reasons that I think I continue to look forward is like I'm 46 years old and I'm still willing to learn more, you know?
Well, looking to the future, what are you sort of looking to in terms of your own growth, like things that you're working on or things that you're looking forward to learning more about or incorporating into your teaching or the culture of the school? What's intrigues you looking forward?
So last year, L gave me one project for K to 8 mathematics. I really had a good time working. Even though I took a lot of time, and I will not say that that curriculum is perfect, but that made me realize that I know so many things over the years. okay, this works well, this doesn't work well. Okay, this is a must important concept that we need to have, and then how we will make the spiral learning for each grade as they upgrade, right? So that was a very learning moment I had, and those kind of work I think I would like to continue, and of course to definitely support my apprentices, make math more interesting, not the way
Yeah.
that we learned as a teachers, the way that I some years I think we never had a good experiences of learning math. So I want kids to cherish, I want kids to remember, oh, this math teacher, Miss Donka, used to teach in a fun way, even not all the concept, but at least few concepts that, like how you were sharing about your own teacher, that he felt he treated you so gently, and then you really did so that particular year you learned so much, right?
Sure.
I want my kids to remember me like that. I want my kids to remember me like that. Of course, there might be other teachers as well, but that's how I want them to remember me. And yes, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to grow more at Taxi, more into designing the curriculum, more
Curriculum. Yeah.
into doing the teachers train, whatever
Mhm.
I've learned, whatever I have to unlearn. I think I'm open for that also. As I mentioned, that these apprentices are my half of my age, right? But there's so much to learn from these people. There's
Yeah.
so much people. And also, I think one positive characters traits that I'm noticing about myself is I think I can work with
Mm.
any team. And I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest advantage that I have. For me, working as a team is very utmost priority because we all are, four of us are there. And if we do not liking, disliking, it's a secondary, but how well we work or coordinate each other with each other as a team, that
Yeah.
matters me most. So that's what I've been realizing because all of us have a different opinions about different things, right? That we have no control on each other.
Yeah.
However, I think when we are working in a team, the math department should have same goal.
Yeah.
That's
Respect, like respect for your colleagues, and then the ability to work
mm,
collaboratively.
mm,
That's so
right.
powerful and a model for not just the students, because, that I would imagine trickles down to them, but to other teachers as well. Just by
Mm,
being the way that you are, you're teaching so many things else beyond math. No, it's good to, self praise. I think it's a bad rap, but it's good that when I'm thinking about the students I work with, I want to make sure they know what their strengths are, and I want them to know what they do well, because then they can do it again. If we spend all our time focused on weaknesses and what is not going well, then how do you know what to do? How do you need to have the awareness of what's working,
right.
what's going well, so that you can keep that momentum
Mm,
going. And also, of course, where things are, the analysis of what's not going well, or as I'm learning from Taxi, your deltas. I love that so much. What advice would you give to a young teacher?
yeah, I think my advice would be open to learn and relearn. Because I think we feel sometimes we know so many things. And of course, we do know so many things, right? But to whatever the knowledge that you have, and I think to unlearn that particular knowledge, or learn certain things that you are already good at it. But with the upgraded versions in AI and these youngsters who are just coming in, I think the human resources that you have in and around, at times it becomes very challenging to unlearn things because you think
It
that
is.
you are right everything whatever you are whatever you are doing kind of a mindset. We can have a growth mindset, but when you are really not unlearning few things, how can you have a growth mindset? I am very open to learn, but you're not willing to unlearn certain things and relearn. I mean, how are you learning? I don't know. I keep I keep thinking about all this funny stuff, and I discuss very often with my husband. And then sometimes he says, "Our conversations, you make it so complex." That's what he says. That's the word he uses. Because what do you mean by learn, relearn, unlearn? What is that? Then because I feel that's so important, I feel that's so important. For basic
Yeah.
example, I can like how I grew up, how my parenting was done by my parents. That's something that I have experienced, and I have to unlearn that things when I'm dealing with my own kid. Right? I have to unlearn a lot of things that which I learned as a kid. So if I'm not learning that way, so my parenting, how it will be different. So how my parenting was done by my parents, that will not work with my kid. I would say a lot. So that advice I give it to my youngsters.
I was thinking about how, as you were speaking, how much harder it is to unlearn than to learn. And we never really talk about this. We should do a whole podcast
Mhm.
episode just on what does it mean to unlearn something. I remember when I was little, I've always been interested in music. My piano teachers would be very adamant that you have to learn it right the first time because if you learn it the wrong way, it's much, much harder to fix things later. And fast forward,
Mhm.
20 years, I think they were wrong. And um and they were right. They were right and they were wrong. They were right that it's harder to unlearn, but they were wrong that it isn't like that taught me what it takes to unlearn something and do it a different way. And I just had that experience with a piece of music I was learning and it was too hard for me. So I made an easier version and then I got the courage to try and do it the right way. Anyway, so I had to relearn the whole song again. And it was
Mhm.
actually just a really powerful experience. So I love this inverse of like, you also have to have a growth mindset about unlearning something and recognize that it's going to be hard, harder than learning even, but it's such a powerful transformational experience.
Mhm.
So I love this. You should teach a class on unlearning. It'd be really cool. How to unlearn and how to unlearn things like, yeah, parenting or ways of teaching, ways of learning. I think this is a really, really interesting topic. And your husband's right. It is complex, but it's important.
So I keep telling my husband, there are so many unlearn that you have to do in life. I keep saying that to my husband.
It's so important because unlearning means you have to slowly sort of erase your previous paths of thinking and then you have to replace it with the
Yes.
new path. So learning is just new
Mhm.
path, but unlearning is backtrack and then build new path. And that's I think what makes it so
Right.
hard. Like
Mhm.
for your brain it's hard because you get into the pattern of doing something one way. It takes a lot of courage to unlearn, a lot of courage. You have to probably really like yourself, love yourself to take that kind of risk.
Mhm.
So I want to end by asking you if there are people or organizations that you would like to promote that our listeners can check out. I'll put them in our show notes. Obviously, we'll put Taxi in there, but is there anyone else you want to shout out?
To my husband, to give a big shout out to my husband because he does not only help me in my personal life, but he is my strength. Without him, I think I cannot do many things, especially the work culture that we have at a taxi, the demands that we have at the taxi work culture. He is someone that who gives me his listening ears, undivided attention, be it my personal life, be it my school life. He knows about taxi in and out. I think he's my biggest friend because he not only supports me in my personal life, but again, he really helps me to think clearly at times when I'm journaling. And then this is a delta, or this is something that did not really go well, and I have a foggy brain in here. I really need a clarity because I'm not able to make a decisions out here. So sometimes even if it's just a word that he speaks up, and that is like that press button that you turn it on and that you get an idea and then you can start linking or start connecting dots.
Mm.
So he has been a very big strength, but I
Yeah.
think because of my husband, I'm able to continue my 15th year at Taktse, and I'm proud of myself and proud of him
I
for
love
being such a
that.
supportive, my life partner.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Donka, it has been so fun to chat with you today and hear parts of your story and your joy for teaching, and not just teaching students, but teaching teachers. Thank you for coming on today. If you've enjoyed today's discussion, I invite you to share this episode and subscribe to Able Pathways podcast on your favorite platform. Your support helps us to share these meaningful conversations with more people. Have thoughts about this episode or suggestions for future guests? We would love to hear from you. Leave us a comment or email us at hello@ablepathways.com. Until next time, I'm Annabelle, reminding you that there are infinite pathways to growth. May you travel yours with curiosity and courage.